I am Saint Matthew.
I am Saint Matthew.
I am Saint Matthew.
I am Saint Matthew.
I am Saint Matthew. Hallelujah.
When I found an inclusive community where my faith was deepened, my understanding of what the church could be in the world was widened so drastically. And all of the fears of becoming an inclusive community that came with that, where people were afraid numbers would fall, people were afraid that there'd be conflict in the church, because when my last church started becoming LGBTQ inclusive, the opposite actually happened.
To me, it means everybody. Every single buddy. Black, white, pink, aqua blue, sky blue, pink, don't matter to me. To me, it means nothing, except everybody. It's important if you're breathing, but otherwise, that's the main reason I have 2 boys in Honduras I send money to every month, so that they have a chance at this life, a chance at religion, a chance at Jesus, a chance of an education, just a chance. It's not $1,000 a month, but it's something. It feeds them a little bit, it supports them, etc. They're only 8 and 10 years old, but it's a chance, it's a start for them. But it means everybody, every single buddy.
Honoring the special gifts that each of us have and bringing that to the table to complete like a whole picture. And I think with Maverick, Savannah, me, Gabe included, all have these different gifts, different purposes, and together, we're just here to build on that, right? To build his kingdom. And I think God equipped us in different ways, in many different ways, and we're able to show that, through different ways.
At times when I've not been included because of my sexuality, it makes you challenge your self-worth and your identity and your own sense of being, and really destabilizes your whole life, especially when it's coming from a community that you've spent some time of, or church is so vulnerable. When you go to a church and you invest, you unveil parts of yourself to that community and the people there that you wouldn't necessarily anywhere else in your life.
I know there are many that don't approve or disapprove. I don't really bother myself with, I'm not looking for anyone's approval. I have his approval. That's all I care about. I know it bothers some people, and that's work they need to do on themselves, which is good work, to accept every one of God's creatures.
With Maverick being autistic and with his special needs, to see him like immediately welcomed and recognized as a young man, as a person, and not necessarily like as a
outcast.
As an outcast, or
I think people embracing him for who he is and accepting him, not just the inclusion part of it. I feel like people value him as an individual and have helped us along in our journey with that. Yeah. I think for myself, speaking from a mom perspective, being in MOPS and attending the IF table, with other women, the social justice aspect of it, I think is a really cool thing to see in this neighborhood in Walnut Creek. It might not be something that people experience like every day, but to have those discussions and to be able to talk about it, especially being a minority in, a person of color in this predominantly, white demographic, I think it's cool that these issues are also addressed and that we get to talk openly in a safe place about those kinds of things.
When I could show up exactly who I am, I meet Jesus anew. We just did that series, but really that happens when you can find a church after experiencing pain, and then you find a church that lives into what you believe in loving neighbor, in loving self, in loving God. You realize that it's possible for the first time.
Jesus crossed all kinds of borders and barriers, especially including the outcast and the irreligious. We therefore value making room to include a diversity of backgrounds, views, and convictions as we follow Jesus together.